Sports Talk Chicago. Here with Jon Zaghloul, and we are back and ready for today's special guest. He's a baseball columnist at USA Today and a baseball insider for Audacy Sports. Please welcome Bob Nightengale to the program. Bob, it's great to have you on again. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks, John.
Bob, when's Carlos Correa coming to the Cubs?
We'll see about the offseason. Someone's coming there. They got a lot of money to spend, and they need a big building block. They got Suzuki last winter. Now they're poised to get someone else. Is it Correa? Is it Trey Turner? We'll see. Is it Alexander Bogaerts? So there's going to be some great shortstops that hit the marketplace this winter.
When did the Cubs decide they were going to spend money? Because it's pretty unlike them based on past off seasons.
I think that's just their game plan coming in. I mean, last winter they got Suzuki, they got Stroman. So now it's like, okay, get another piece there too. It's almost like, don't want to do too much last winter because they weren't ready to compete. And, they're in the right division. If you want to rebuild and contend, you want to be in the NL Central or the AL Central for that matter. You don't want to be the AL East or the NL West. If they get one of those guys, a Turner, Correa, Bogaerts, then I think, they're knocking on the door, at least for a wild card berth, and challenging the St. Louis Cardinals and Milwaukee Brewers, pretty soon.
Who'd be the best fit of those three on the Cubs?
Bogaerts, I think, is going to have to move positions here at some point. So I'd probably rule him out, unless the other two guys are taken. I'd probably take Trey Turner. He just does so much. Tremendous speed. He can beat you, every which way. I think he's one of the top 5 players in all of baseball. Now, will he slow down at some point with the speed? Sure. But he's a dynamic player. Not that Correa isn't, but Turner's speed is a difference maker.
Do you think the Cubs are really going to spend potentially $30 or even $40 million per year on one of these three players? Is that really the possibility here?
I do. Remember now, Jason Hayward's contract comes off the books in a year. So there's a $22 million off the books. Wilson Contreras should be traded at the trade deadline. His contract comes off the books. So there's plenty of money to be had there.
You think Contreras is gone for sure?
I do. He's the best position player available. And, they tried to re-sign him. They haven't come close from what I understand. He wants to be paid as one of the top, 2-3 catchers in baseball. Certainly should get, close to what JT Realmuto got. And he got $115 million. I don't think the Cubs think he's, worth nearly that much. So I think they, had no choice but to trade him instead of losing him as a free agent.
If the Cubs plan on contending next year, though, you don't think there's a possibility in which they could come to an agreement with Contreras this offseason?
Possible, but unlikely. We'll see. I mean, they made those offers to, the 3 big boys and couldn't get any one of them. In Rizzo, who ended up signing for less money, as it turns out with the Yankees. Bryant got probably a little less than he did with the Rockies, and Baez certainly got less than he did with the Tigers. So, they could wait and see. I don't think they're ready to contend. I think be a much better team next year. I'm not sure they're quite ready to contend for the division title in 2023, but certainly contend for a playoff berth.
Is that a red flag to you to know that all those 3 guys didn't come to the Cubs and the Cubs offered up pretty good money? They went to other spots where there was less money involved. Could that be a problem come next year for some of these free agents that they could be talking to?
No, I think the Cubs will point that out. It's like, hey, wait a minute now. We offered Kris Bryant more than the 182 we got from the Colorado Rockies. We offered Anthony Rizzo 5 years at $70 million or so. Probably would have got to 80. He signed for 2 for 32 with the Yankees, and Baez got offered $140 million for the Tigers. They offered him more than that too. So I think their thing is, hey, we offered market value for these guys, and they turned it down. It wasn't like we just showed them the door without making any offer at all.
How tough are they to watch right now, the Cubs?
Just a rebuilding team. I mean, I don't think anything more was expected. It certainly wasn't, in spring training. And they're going to have to, go down and get back up again. They tear it down to the, shred the whole thing like they did back, 7-8 years ago before, the little rain started. But yeah, they were planning to do this. And and the Pirates are doing this in the division. The Reds are doing this in the division. So the only two teams aren't doing it are the Cardinals and Brewers. And that's why they both make the playoffs and probably both get over, 90, 95 wins because you can beat up on those three teams.
Bob Nightengale here on Sports Talk Chicago. Bob, what about the White Sox? Where do they stand today?
Well, certainly underachieving. They've had a lot of injuries, so have a lot of, number of teams as well. They're starting to play better now. Nobody really believes the Twins are a juggernaut, that they can be had. I think last year was, aberration. They're a better team than they showed, Minnesota Twins. So a two-team race. Let's see who beats up on the bad teams the most, particularly with how poorly Detroit's playing, how poor Kansas City is playing.
Why have the Sox played just 500 baseball so far? What's wrong with them?
Well, they haven't been able to hit for whatever reason. Now they big injury to Tim Anderson. He kind of makes that whole thing go. But the offense has just been brutal. And, you would think at some point it will wake up. The pitching's been erratic, but pitching much better now. I mean, they got to be ecstatic with the way Michael Kopech's been pitching. He's been phenomenal against the top teams in the league. So, for the White Sox to just get into the postseason, because, if you have a, Kopech and Giolito and Dylan Cease, you can take your chances with anybody.
How far do you think they go if they make the playoffs?
Well, right now, the two teams to beat, the team to beat is the New York Yankees in the American League. Second best team is the Houston Astros, and then it's up for grabs. But very possible, 4 teams from the AL East could make the playoffs, leaving just the division winners in the Central and the West. I'm not sure, there's going to be a wild card team coming from the West with the way the Angels have collapsed. And, I'm not sure that we'll have one from the Central either, unless Minnesota keeps up this pace and the White Sox start turning things around. Were
you surprised by the Joe Maddon firing?
No, he wasn't Perry Minasian's guy. Those rumors all along this was going to happen. I mean, they weren't going to keep him anyway. I think they would have had to make the playoffs or maybe even get to the World Series to keep Maddon. Remember now was Perry Minasian inherited him. Even back to the old GM, Billy Epler, he wanted Buck Showalter. But his ownership, he said, no, we got something in place here. We're signing Joe Maddon as our manager. So the writing was on the wall. Perry Minasian wanted Buck Showalter, but he just couldn't he couldn't do that move during the winter. It was just too premature.
So how's that situation compared to Tony La Russa here in Chicago? Is he also on the hot seat?
Well, different. I mean, Perry Minasian, did not hire Joe Maddon. This regime did. So Tony's on the hot seat this season. If they don't reach the playoffs, then I think they'll have a big meeting in the offseason and said, okay, do you want to keep doing this? Maybe we should find some new blood in here. They would never fire him. I would think it would be, okay, he becomes a special assistant or something in the front office. So he has the rest of this year for sure. But if they don't make the playoffs, then I think they'll sit down and say, okay, maybe it's time for a change here.
Is there any possibility that he gets fired mid-season?
No, I don't see that happening at all. Even a 10-game losing streak, a 12-game losing streak, I don't see that happening. You don't fire a Hall of Fame manager and what he's meant. So off-season, that could happen. Like I said, it would never be the word firing. It would be step down or going to the front office, that sort of thing.
Is their performance reflection of his managerial performance, or is this more so an injury problem, or is this on the players for the White Sox?
Well, it's sort of on the players. They've had injuries, granted, but the players have got to step up and start doing stuff. I mean, everybody predicted this team to win the division. Some people thought they'd run away with it. So, the starting performances have been erratic, but the offense has been weighed down. There's no reason it should be this poor. So, that's not like Tony La Russa can go in there and step on the mound or, go to the plate. It's on the players.
Bob Nightengale still here on Sports Talk Chicago. Bob, a few more questions before we finish up. First off, the lockout. How'd you stay on top of that reporting?
Well, a busy time. It was a intriguing time. We haven't had one of these since 94, 95. So yeah, you had to keep in daily touch with the both sides, the Players Association side and Major League Baseball, and then going down to Florida and monitoring that and watching how many meetings they have each day. A lot of idle time there. But yeah, by the end of the day, both sides are pretty forthcoming as far as what they were presenting. So they were a lot more forthcoming than they had been in the past. If you go back to the early 90s.
How'd this one compare to 94, 95 when you covered that one?
Yeah, this one was in 94, 95, I kind of just helped out. That's with the LA Times. We had Ross Newhand did the heavy work on that one. Yeah, this one was in person and things like that. Back then you were like stuck in a hotel room and just, guys were sitting in the lobby, for 14, 16 hours. This one, I think just with the state of situation with the newspapers and media outlets, there are only about 8 or 10 of us doing this thing. So, used the St. Louis Cardinals media room, brought in pizza and snacks, that sort of thing. Long days, a lot of unproductive days. And then, then it got, very interesting. I still believe the night when they broke it off at 2:30 in the morning, they never regained that momentum. I still believe if they had never gone to bed, it would have got done a week before it actually did.
How much sleep did you get at the time?
A couple of those days, particularly last 2 days, I want to say it was 2-3 hours of sleep.
Wow.
I got a lucky break having a hotel room across the street. So it wasn't like I had to get in a car and drive at 3 in the morning. But yeah, you would have a lot of onlookers come by and stop at the sidewalk. What are you guys doing? Cars kind of stopping and honking, that sort of thing. So it was it was interesting for sure. And I'm glad they got done when they did, because I think if it had gone longer, if the Players Association had not voted to approve MLB's last proposal, we may still not be playing baseball today.
What's the latest hour you've ever broken a story, or was it during this lockout?
Probably winter meetings, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, that sort of thing. The winter meetings are long days too, long nights. A lot of times, John, you get your best information at the bar late at night. Everybody's a little more loose-lipped and relaxed, and will tell you things. So winter meetings times, you're usually not going to bed before 2 or 3 because you want to just kind of wait out whoever the last baseball person is there.
Bob, before we finish up today, last question. Is the Bob Nightengale curse over due to the lockout? A lot of people have said so based on your reporting on Twitter. What do you think about that?
It's like the old SI jinx. If you're going to cover a SI and everybody thinks it's the jinx, there's no such thing as a jinx. I've kind of refrained this year because people take it seriously with no hitters or perfect games. I'll say a special games going on or things like that, or might want to watch out this performance. Too many people believe in it. I mean, the odds of no hitter and perfect game are so remote. But took in the late innings, that's when these things get broken up. But you want to point out, like if it's the 7th inning, particularly, hey, you might want to tune in here. Something special going on. We've only had 23 perfect games, so that one would really jump out if we have one one day.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for joining me. Always a pleasure. Best wishes as you cover this season, and looking forward to the next time we chat as well.
All right, my pleasure. Take care, John.